What's going on YouTube? This is TrademarkofAZ, and I'm about to show you how to upgrade your MacBook Pro while on a budget. Let's do this. This is my initial setup. I have about 8 gigs of RAM, a 500 gig hard drive. It was running pretty slow, so I went on Amazon and got a couple of things for cheap. This hard drive Caddy is going to help me out a lot. What I'm going to do is use my old hard drive, put it where the optical drive was, since I don't burn CDs or DVDs, and use that somewhat as a secondary backup. The new hard drive is going to be fast, great, sufficient, everything that I need. So I have everything I need here in this package, but I have an Amazon box on the side. So let's put this away and I'll show you. And here's my Amazon box. So I got myself my box cutter. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up. And I got 3 things in here that got me super excited. So once I go ahead and pull this off here. The first thing I got that I'm very excited about is my new Crucial 16 gig kit, which is gonna help my productivity on my MacBook Pro. The second thing I got here is my USB 3.0 converter, and I'll be able to transfer everything over without having to reinstall anything at all. It's great. And last but not least, my SanDisk hard drive. Yeah, I said it. It's not a Samsung, and I'm gonna tell you why. See, the Samsung is a little bit more expensive for me right now. This was pretty cheap. It does exactly what I needed to do for the time being, and I can use it as a secondary backup. Now, while I urge you to save your money, on my end,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Alright, let's get started. So what we're going to go ahead and do first is open up Blackmagic speed test. Now basically the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to show you guys my initial setup and how it runs. Now I got this used MacBook for my birthday earlier this year, and I wasn't really doing much with it. It was just basic downloading, streaming, surfing the web. But once I started getting into more productivity work, I noticed it was slowing down more, and especially with the fact that I have so many applications on my dock, it takes forever for it to load up. So I decided to see how quick it goes. Now, as you can see, I'm already starting my test, and this is actually the first time I have actually ran a speed test. That is slow. So I'm going to show you my new hard drive and how it's plugged in, and then I'll come back to the screen recording. So this is how I have it, and as soon as you plug it in, it's going to ask you, do you want to initialize it, because it doesn't recognize it. So once you initialize it, it will read it, and then at that point you are able to use any type of cloning program such as SuperDuper or Carbon Copy Cloner of your choosing. There's other ones, but those are the 2 that I know. So this is what I have right now on my hard drive. What I went ahead and did to make it so easier for me and not to get confused is bring that down by transferring all of my iTunes songs that I have onto my external hard drive. And this is my new hard drive since I just initialized it. So now my computer recognizes it. So now what I'll go ahead and do is pretty much format it, and I would encourage everyone to save it just like this. Leave the settings as it is. If it is not in this setting, go ahead and change it. And when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and erase or format, however you want to choose the wording. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to do time machine? At this point, I've decided against it. I don't do time machine. Don't look at me. Let's keep going. Alright. So at this point, if you want to set it up, yes you can. It is up to your choosing. I decided to go against it. And then once you go ahead and set that up, now it is completely ready to go. And now all I will have to do is open up Carbon Copy. I actually prefer this because it's been updated and it's a lot more simpler than Super Duper, but that's my opinion. So how you see it right now is the source is going to be your old hard drive. The destination is going to be your new hard drive. You don't need to worry about the scheduling section. You don't need to worry about advanced settings. What I would suggest for everybody is go ahead and use the safety net. Leave that option on. What's going to happen is once you clone it, it's going to actually ask you if you want to create a recovery portion. Now, once you create a recovery portion, because of the safety net, depending on how big or little your hard drive is, your original one, you may have a lot of information. But once it's done, shut down completely, and then we'll go ahead and go to my actual camera. We'll turn over the MacBook, and we'll get started on installing everything. Alright, so now we're at the back of my MacBook. One of the things I got weeks in advance before I even made any purchases on upgrading is this screwdriver here. The screwdriver kit is very cheap and expensive. I want to say, if I remember correct, around 10-13 bucks on Amazon. It's a great deal. It's going to help you with everything you need for removing anything, for adding anything into your MacBook Pro. So as you see, I already have one of the screws up because I had tested this before filming, and it is great. So I would say if you're the type of person to constantly go into your Mac, or if you're the type of person to just go into removing anything, make sure you just flip it over, and then you'll remember which ones to use, and you'll just be more efficient. So from here to here, these are going to be the little screws, but these three at the top, these are going to be the long ones. So be careful and memorize where you remove them. So this is the original 500 gigabyte hard drive. As you see, my Mac is a little bit dirty. Here's the optical, and then right over here is the RAM, which we're going to start with first. And this is the new one that is 8 gigs right in my hand. It's going to be great to install. But safety first, we're going to go ahead and unplug the battery from the actual circuit board. So be very, very careful. So step one is replacing the RAM. As you see, it's pretty self-explanatory on how to get that out. You want to make sure you carefully remove the old one and carefully put in the new one. It's very crucial. And as you see, I made a little mistake and had to push out the sides and gently put it in, and it fits correctly. So the next step is to go ahead and take care of the hard drive. So again, the old hard drive is going to be the secondary. I'm going to actually put that where you see the optical drive. Now it's very important at this point to be careful removing the cable from the hard drive, just ever so slightly. Make sure you don't pull the hard drive all the way up, or else you're going to pull that cable out completely and it's game over. There's no turning back. So just be careful, just kind of wiggle it out, and just right there, got it. Okay, so we're going to put the old hard drive to the side, but before we do that, we're going to go ahead and remove the screws. That's what's going to actually help keep the new hard drive in place. So we're going to go ahead and just zip through this, go ahead and put all 4 of them in. Once that's plugged in, we're going to go ahead and put the screws and the bracket back in. As you see here, make sure you put the bracket in correctly. I had it in reverse and I didn't realize it till afterwards. So once you have it in right, as you see, I flipped it over. Then you go ahead and place it in. And then once all the screws are placed, just kind of move it around. It's in, you're set. So 2 out of 3. Now this next part is very, very hard. So at this point, anything you do is at your own risk. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is remove these 3 little straps. That's what holds the optical drive in, and the one in the middle is how the computer actually reads the optical drive. Right next to the one that I'm pulling out right now, there is another wire. That one is for, I'm not sure if it's for both the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth or just one. Make sure you pull that out carefully. If you pull that out a little bit too rough, then you may not be able to get Wi-Fi or Bluetooth back on your MacBook. So be very, very careful. Now, I also want to point out to be very careful. Right next to the fan, you'll see that there is maybe a red wire. Do not touch that, it's soldered in. But besides that, go ahead and remove the optical drive, and make sure you take out this cable here. You're going to actually put that on the Caddy. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and remove this piece here. That is very important because that's what's going to help hold down the Caddy once we get it installed. So we're going to go ahead and remove this here. And next one here. Okay. There's nothing else for the optical drive, so just go ahead and remove that. And as you see, now it is time to pretty much use the old drive, put it in the Caddy, and like I told you, we're on a budget, so this is going to be the new setup for the time being. We're not going to let this go to waste. We're going to actually use it, utilize it to the best we can. So everything that you did while removing the optical drive, do it in reverse. I can't stress that enough. That upper part gave me a little bit of a tough time just because I had to move it at an angle and I had to be very cautious of what screws go in. So just take your time, no rush, no pressure. This is your project, this is your baby. Make sure you do it right the first time so you don't have to open it up once you boot it up. So at this point, I've had to reinstall the Caddy twice because I had the screws in the wrong place. The screw that holds down the actual back of the MacBook, you leave that hole open, nothing goes in that one. And so once I realized that, I was able to put everything back in and it's clean, as you can see. Perfect. So once I have all of that in, it's just as easy as putting these straps back in, and then I'll be able to get it set up and then be able to run my test. And if my tests are good, then I know I'm complete and I have a brand new Mac. So let's go ahead and check that out. So obviously it's powered on, everything is working perfect, everything is reinstalled as you see on my dock. And looking, I see it's confirmed I have 16 gigs newly installed. And this is another way you can tell. If you see this, that lets you know. Plus now I have 2 hard drives, which is great. So now I'm going to go ahead and pretty much erase all the information on my old drive. And I'm going to go ahead and open up Disk Utility. And at this point I'm noticing it's a little bit faster, so I'm getting excited. Now it's very important at this point, before you format, make sure you have everything. If you don't have everything, it's going to be too late. Just make sure. At this point, I'm confident everything has already been taken care of. So I'm just going to go ahead and name my old hard drive the secondary hard drive. And once I'm ready, leave all the settings the way it is and hit erase. Once you hit erase, it's going to go ahead and format it. And now the MacBook will be able to read it as just an ordinary hard drive. go, we have success. So at this point, I like to make sure. It may not do anything, but I decided to run first aid on the old hard drive, aka the secondary hard drive, and just make sure everything was clean. There's no errors writing, all the volumes are fine. Like I said, I don't think it really helps, but I just like to just make sure. And as you see, everything is taken care of, and look at all that space there. Make sure that you refresh your screen so that way it reflects the new result. As you see, I did not do that, but I noticed it afterwards when I went back. It did show it was completely space free, and I was happy about that. And as you see, there's nothing in the old hard drive. So now I can do whatever I want. I can put all of my movies. I actually used it to put all my iTunes songs over there. I have over 40,000 songs. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It's about 156 gigs worth. So I'm pretty much happy with that. So now that I have everything set up, one of the last things I wanted to do was run another speed test on my new hard drive. So after running it, I noticed immediately it went up to about, if you notice, about 336, but it didn't stay there. It went down to 237. I figured, let me rerun it later on. As time progressed, I realized it is somewhat inconsistent, and I knew that was going to be one of the drawbacks of purchasing SanDisk. So I would encourage everyone to do their research and pick what you think is best. I don't regret my decision, but as of now, I'm noticing that the speed seems to be around 250. It may go up a little bit, but it stays consistent on 254, which I'm satisfied with, but I would prefer it to go a little bit higher. The read is great. Right now the setup is perfect for my MacBook Pro. I do intend to upgrade later on, but for right now, I think this is good for someone that's being on a budget. So I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Thumbs up if this helped you. I appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.